Hello, this is Chris Gannon. I want to show you the SVG to GIF converter that I've been making recently. I do a lot of SVG animation using GreenSock, and I want to share it across various different social networks and design networks like Dribble. And unfortunately, GIF is the format that seems to be the most portable and the most acceptable across all these networks. So SVG isn't all that shareable at the moment, so it'll have to be GIF for the time being. So I've made a converter, SVG to GIF. Here it is, and you can load it just in a script tag. So you just load it on top of your current animation. It has to be an SVG, an inline SVG animation. So you have your SVG tag and then all of your graphics inside, and then you animate them with GreenSock. And then convert that to a GIF. Okay, so just to show you at the bottom here, you can see that I've added it here. If I just remove that and just refresh it, it's not there. Okay, so if I just put that back in, refresh it, it appears. So SVG to GIF needs a few things. It needs to know which SVG tag to render, and it also needs to know the size, the background color for the GIF that you want to create. That's usually the body color of the body. The workers, well, that's just when you're rendering it. If you have memory problems, then lower it. If you're going great guns, then you can up it, and it'll be quicker. And also start frame. Which we'll talk about in a minute. So the first thing I need to do is SVG to GIF needs to know which tag, SVG tag you want to render. And at the moment it says unknown SVG because I haven't added a class name to that SVG, so I can just go into my SVG, into my HTML page and just add in a class equals, we'll call it pencil SVG. Save that, come here and refresh it. And now I can choose pencil SVG. 800 by 600 is just the default number. You can change this to anything you like. So if you're doing a very sort of long, thin GIF, then it can be like that. But mine's 800 by 600. The background is usually the body color, as I said, but it can be any because you're going to be creating a transparent SVG capture and then putting it onto a color background for the GIF. So that can be any color you like. I'll just go and find out what that is so this is my CSS. So that's the background color. Go and put that in there. Workers, leave that alone, you probably won't need to change that. And then start frame. Start frame is where you want the GIF to start from, what you want the GIF's first frame to be. So when you have an SVG animation, often it starts with a blank sort of canvas or artboard or whatever you want to call it, and then something comes in and happens and then goes off. Now when you share that across sites like Dribble, the first frame is usually the frame that becomes the thumbnail for that GIF. And often you don't want that first frame, which is essentially blank, to be the thumbnail. So this allows you to set which frame is going to be the start frame. And you'll notice it says here, set timeline, repeat 0. So at the moment, it's found a timeline, a GreenSock timeline max instance, and it's saying that it needs to have its repeat set to 0. So when you're creating SVG animations, usually in GreenSock you usually want to have a repeat -1, so it just loops. Yeah, if you're looping it, of course. Let me just go into the JS. But when you're creating a GIF, the GIF does it for you. So you really only want to just capture one play out of the animation. So I'm going to just change that to repeat 0. Now you'll notice that I have actually created other timelines in here. It's good practice. I hate good practice stuff, but in this particular instance, there is a good practice with GreenSock timeline stuff, and that is, if you've got lots of timelines doing various different animations, it's good practice to take all those timelines and add them to one parent timeline. That way you can slow it down, speed it up, reverse it, do all sorts of things to that timeline, and you've got a lot of control over it. So this is what I've done here. I've actually created lots of different timelines here, all in this code up here. Where is it? See, there's lots of different timelines, blah, 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 in a loop, and it creates lots of different drawings. And then eventually, after all that's done its thing, I just create a new empty timeline, put a repeat of 0 on it, and then just added the main drawing timeline. Okay, and I've set for the purpose of this demo, I've set the duration to be 5, so it's quite short. It's actually much longer than this, but it takes, I don't want you to sit around waiting for it to render on a long animation. There's one more thing that we need to do, and that is, if you do have lots of timeline max instance at the same level, you want SVG2GIF to be able to differentiate which is the one that you want to step through and capture. So in the vars object here, I'm just going to put in SVG2GIF is true. Okay, so I'm going to come back in here, refresh that, and now it's saying, let me just choose pencil, and now it's saying start frame is 203 frames. So now it knows the length of the timeline that you want to use, and we're going to put that back to about 100 so that it starts in the middle. So the first frame of the GIF is halfway through the animation, so you get a decent preview thumbnail. And we're just going to change that back to the background color 800 by 600 is that. Oh, there's a play button here, so you can just play it, which is quite useful. And now we're just going to convert it. Now it should convert in about real time and a half. So it takes the time, the duration of the animation plus about half again to capture and convert it. Which isn't really bad, really, is it? I think it's quite good. And then when it's eventually finished, it says show GIF, and you can just click on that and it will open it up in a new window. So that's SVG2GIF. I hope you like it. If you would like to do some, it's in a very early stage at the moment, but if you want to get your hands on it and test it, then I always wanted to do this. Leave a comment in the box below. And I will, or get in touch with me however you want to get in touch with me on Twitter, or on Twitter is probably best, at Chris Gannon. Okay, thanks for watching. Cheers. See you later.